Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning to another exciting episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor Hamza. Hi. Just thought I'd do a video. Maybe we'll do a quick one this evening about the polar vortex. So, what is happening is that the hot air, there's getting more hot air, and as the hot air, rises and goes, around the earth and all that, it goes towards the North Pole and the South Pole, and it's pushing the frigid air, and the frigid air is in air currents is moving around, and now we're getting polar vortexes. So, for those of you who don't know, polar vortex is a area of cold air that's super cold, and it seems to hit and then it's warm. So a lot of people here in the Northeast United States where I am are, oh, there's no greenhouse effect, there's no global warming, look how cold it is. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. That just shows that actually it is happening. So there's a lot of misinformation about it, and I just thought I'd do a quick video to talk about the polar vortex. So what happens is you have a ball, it's the Earth, and then the sorry, flat earthers, but I have to talk about this. So there's a wave of hot air that's going to be rising, and the air currents are moving around. So we have the grand conveyor belt that's going around the Earth. It's slowing down, which is very detrimental to the Earth's health and then ours. And that carries warm water around the Earth, and then this is going to be screwing us up, completely. Hi, Sylvie. Thanks for tuning in. And then these polar vortexes are super dangerous. 21 people died pretty recently. We're having Arctic, chills here in the Northeast, and it's definitely colder. It's colder than the North Pole for a lot of places, which is just like, it's almost like the last hurrah of all the cold air. In the coldness, it's being pushed around, and then this could be the beginning of the end in a way, because once this speeds up and all that hotter air goes up, and it's going to be pretty bad. So it's like we need to do something. If it's already, it might almost already be too late as things stand. So we definitely need to stop the global warming of what's going on. Certainly, the big industrial age that hit us has transformed the Earth, and it's been pushing us like towards where we are now. And unfortunately, back in 1911, if we wouldn't have went towards maybe gasoline cars, that would have been one instance that we could have been being helped with. I understand that methane from animals are at fault as well. The methane coming out of basically cow farts, coming out of that's adding to the greenhouse effect as well. A lot of people just have to stop eating so much meat, and certainly it's more spiritual not to eat meat. You can't say it's not. We have to curb it. I believe for every 10 hectares of land that isn't used for cows and grazing, we could grow so much more food and be feeding ourselves in that respect. So that's something that we definitely have to do. You have the water is being polluted. We have the pollution going around the Earth, and then we have a landmass of plastic. I believe that's near the South China Sea. That's it's a landmass. That's how much plastic is out there. Now, U.S. isn't all to blame. A lot of third world countries that just throw their trash everywhere, and I understand. There has to be education in place, and I understand with the Trump administration that isn't a top priority, even though when he went and President Trump went to Scotland because he had to help build a wall around his compound for his golf course because the water table was rising. But yet, in the same instance, we've had a lack of people on his staff that are pro climate change. I mean, here's how it works, right? Everyone watching this is intelligent. You go on Google, okay? And here's your trick. You go on images and you type in to your image search box, you type in, do graph, do 1 to a million years, hottest earth temperatures. Then when you get the hottest earth temperatures come up on the graph, you'll take that data and look at it. And you're going to find out there was one time that it got almost this hot before, actually a little hotter. And then what happened was, after the earth got really hot, it ended up going towards the other way and ended up being an ice ball for a while. So the earth kind of like bounced from one extreme to the other and went to an ice ball and was just like a frozen ice ball for a long time. And then it thawed out and then life started again. But and you could Google that. What I'm saying is go on, type in a search and just say highest temperature and type in graph, and then you're going to see that and look at the graphs. It's easy. After you look for page or two, and you come up with all the graphs, and they seem to do all the same things. So we have scientists who go up to the North Pole and they do what's called an ice. They take this tube and they go into the ice and they pull it up, and they could look at the charts with the CO2s, what's been in the in the air over the past hundreds of years, and then they could tell like there's more CO2 in the air now. I'm getting healing requests like nonstop right now, so I'm just like looking up and down at my phone as people send me things. But anyway, as you know, I do distance healing and things like that, so happy to help, which is fun. So we definitely need to do something about this, and it's not like tomorrow, it's like now. It's a big thing, and I'm not saying who to elect or who not to elect, but ends up being that this is now going to have to be a priority. We had a lot of other things going around which were priorities politically, but this is definitely a big thing. There's some microbes that are supposed to be able to eat plastic. I don't know how that's going to work out. There's supposedly you always see these articles about some kid. He was 16 years old and he invented something that goes in the ocean and eats up it just scoops up all the plastic. Listen, when 20 years ago, okay, I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a ship. And when I mean, this is in the middle. Oh my gosh, people are messaging me nonstop. When I'm in the middle of the ocean and I look down and there's like beer bottles floating around. There's trash. It is trashed everywhere. It's horrible. It's just, how a lot of ships throw out their garbage. They just take a bag of garbage and they put a couple holes in it and they throw it over the side. That's how a lot of ships just dispose of their garbage instead of going to land and doing all that. They just dump it in the water. The A lot of governments were taking nuclear waste and they just ended up going on a ship and put them in tins in barrels, metal barrels, and they dumped them over the side into the ocean. Just do that. They just dumped out the nuclear waste into the ocean. Can you imagine? We really need to go, and I mean, if James Cameron could go down to the in the Marianas Trench and go as deep as he did, we need to send something down there and go retrieve those and dispose of them in the right manner. There's a place in Utah. No, it's not Utah, is it? Or Nevada, that they're storing it. They dug a hole into a side of a mountain and they're storing all the nuclear waste. And it's supposedly going to be somewhere safe for 10,000 years. They don't know where it's going to be safe for 10,000 years. But it definitely shouldn't be in the bottom of the ocean. That's crazy. It's just crazy stuff. The way people have been thinking about all this and treating the earth. Now's the time for people to wake up about the earth, and it's part of us. We're of the earth, from ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And when you die, you go, that's what they say at funerals, and you go back to the earth. And, we're just, if you think about scientifically, we're part of it. And it's just, I'm getting another healing request. There's tons of people messaging me right now, which is fun. So I'm going to get to them soon. But, you guys can wait. Hang on, I'm doing a video. So that is definitely crazy that they dumped all this nuclear waste. And then we had the Fukushima. Sorry, I'm getting distracted with another email. Another message and another message. Really, it's like the same person. Really, most of it sending me 100 messages. Stop. So that's okay. What I'm saying is that the Fukushima plant, a lot of it's very strange about how that happened, okay? And a lot of it's definitely strange. And I'm not going to go into the strange part of it because I ended up go off on these tangents and people get not happy with me. And they go, oh, you went off on a different tangent. But what I am going to talk about is the greenhouse effect. The Grand Conveyor Belt I mentioned. There were these aquariums that had these scientists made these plants that were very hardy and could be in a regular aquarium as grass, and they looked real pretty. So the scientists said, oh gosh, let's make some grass that will be hard to kill, so when people get all screwed up with their pH balance, that's okay, and we'll just put them in aquariums. And guess what they did? People just got tired of their aquariums and they just dumped it into the Mediterranean Sea. And now if you look at footage for the Mediterranean Sea, there's this grass that grows all over, everywhere. It's clogging up everything. It's not natural, right? So that's all over the place. We have these zebra mussels that were attached to the bottom of boats, went up to Lake Michigan and all those lakes, and now they proliferated and they're all over the place. The other thing I wrote an article about the other day, and they have these snakefish. They're really weird looking. They took over those lakes and they're eating. They're from, I believe, the southeast, and they're eating all the fish. They look like weird monsters. And they have these, the lionfish I wrote an article about. So they were from the southeast, and people took their aquariums and they dumped them in the water in the Caribbean. Just said, oh, I don't want it. Let's put it back in the ocean. Oh, look, it's, and now they're everywhere, and they haven't even got to the highest levels they can in the Gulf of Mexico. There's a law now that in the Florida, if you have a line fish you cross over into Florida, across the border, you get up to $1,000 fine and 1 year in jail. So we have that's going on. We have in Florida, they have these, oh, let's have another pet. Let's have python. Oh yeah, ball pythons are so cool. Oh, I don't want any more. Let's let it go. Or it escapes or whatever. And now, so in the Florida Everglades, we have these pythons all over the place, huge pythons. And, these pythons, and they're not natural, and they're eating up everything. It's just every day you hear about something happen. I'm sorry, I'm getting more messages. I just have to swipe it away. Right now, trying to do a video. Don't message me. Nobody pays attention. So anyway, that's going on. The scariest thing about all this, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, really. I'm not alarmist. Is the rising temperatures with the sea levels, of course, that's horrible, and the pollution. It used to be when I was a kid, I'd go with my dad, and we go down to the shore and at the ocean, and we go fishing. You catch fish, and then you scale it. You got it, put it on the grill, and then you eat it. And that would be our food, and it was fun. Just hang out with my dad for the day. And if we couldn't catch any fish, from the shore or whatever, then we go out and you just walk along the beach and you pick up mussels. So you used to pick up mussels and we just shuck them right there, and then you eat them right out of the shell, Then I was in Long Island Sound. Now you can't do that. There's too much mercury in the water. You can't eat the oysters right out of the water. It's just so sad. I mean, it's a childhood memory I had of that. It was just so nice to be able to go ahead and oh my gosh, sorry. That made my whole screen go away. I'm trying to, anyway. So, does anybody want to talk to me about anything before I sign off? Because I was just wanted to, illustrate that. I mean, there's people that go swimming in the Hudson River and they're like, oh gosh, you can't go swim there. Were you crazy? It's so toxic. It's to me, it's insane how toxic the water is, and you can't swim in it. You can't drink the water, from fresh water, like they're like, oh, you can't drink that. It's just so sad. It's just messed up. We're definitely, destroying it. And then China, you can't even breathe the air. People are dying. There are hundreds and hundreds of people dying a year from just breathing the air. It is insane. In the rush for riches and industrialization, we literally are destroying the planet. There's a few places left that seem like they're nice, but then you look up in the air and then we have these chemtrails. And I'm not going to get into conspiracies at all, but if chemtrails are in the air to stave off a greenhouse effect, it was giving us some time to stop the sunlight from warming up the planet. I understand, but then we have all these aluminum particles in the atmosphere that are destroying our lungs and giving us all autism and everything. So it's really, really a bad situation. So we need to definitely, do what we have to do. We definitely have to get away from the plastics. You guys know what we need to do, so do it. we know what we need to do. And we have to make some hard choices, but they had some in the Kyoto Accords. They had some hidden agendas in there, which I wasn't down with all of it, but we definitely need to go back to getting on board the U.S. and different countries into these these accords and get this signed up, and don't have any hidden resolutions in these things. But people should be disposing of things naturally. Now, I used to live with a Native American Indian tribe, and just briefly, when they hardly ever you throw out something in that culture, you reuse it, you repurpose it, you find another way. When I'm at my job, if I'm working at a certain place, and I print something out, or somebody has something printed out, a lot of times they go throw it out. I'm like, no, give me it. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm using the other side of it. On the other side's a clean sheet of paper, and I'm going to use the front side. I'm going to use as much as possible before we have to throw it away if I'm going to use a piece of paper. It's just the little things that you could do that that can make a lot of difference in the world. Anyway, like, subscribe, share. That was my rant for the evening. I'm sure I missed a lot of things that we could have talked about how big corporations are making a lot of money off certain pollutions and things like that. I think everybody knows all it. We just need to do something about it. All right. Thank you so much. Love y'all. I'm getting more healing requests. I can't even stop. All right, bye.